Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. A very pleasant good afternoon to our honorable guest, Dr. Shafizal bin Mar, the Chairman of MERT 2022. Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Fazli bin Abdullah, the Dean of Faculty of Mechanical Engineering, FKI, UTAN. Dignitaries, the organizing committee, and also not forgetting to the online participants. Here, we would like to acknowledge the honored invited speakers, Professor Dr. Norisugu Umahara from the Graduate School of Engineering, Nagoya University, Japan, and also to Mr. Naim Husni bin Latif, a manager of Malaysia Automotive, Robotics and IoT Institute, Maru. Last but not least, the distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 8th Mechanical Engineering Research Day of MERT 2022 in Shah. Thank you. Good to see everybody in this hall. My name is Nurul Hanim Raza from UTAN. It is my pleasure to be a host for seminar today. On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you to University Technical Malaysia Malacca UTAN, renowned as the first technical university in Malaysia. We hope that the MERT 2022 that we have lined up for all of you will be the most fruitful and engaging. Your presence is highly appreciated. As we begin our seminar, I would like to present to all of you today the key headline of MERT 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, MERT 2022 is the 8th Mechanical Engineering Research Day this year and is organized by FKM UTAN in association with Center for Advanced Research on Energy, CARE UTAN. MERT 2022 is also co-organized by the Graduate School, Nagoya University, Japan, and Department of Chemistry, Universitas Pertamina, Indonesia. Congratulations to all. The objective of MERT 2022 is to create a collaborative platform for scientists, researchers, engineers, and fellow students from higher education, as well as R&D and industry, to present their emerging R&D and innovation. Without further ado, let's start our seminar rolling with welcoming address by the Chairman of MERT 2022, Dr. Shafizal bin Mar. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me to give the warmest applause to the key person making this international seminar success. Dr. Shafizal, take the floor, please.
Thank you, Madam Hanim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera and very good afternoon to Yang Berbahagia Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Fazli Abdullah, Dean, Faculty of Mechanical Engineering, UTAN, Deputy Deans, invited speakers, ladies and gentlemen. Alhamdulillah. Let us extend our sincere gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us the opportunity to be here today for the 8th Mechanical Engineering Research Day, MERT 2022. On behalf of the organizing committee and Faculty of Mechanical Engineering 10, I would like to greet all of you, especially the invited speakers, Professor Umehara from Nagoya University, Japan, and Mr. Naim bin Latif from Malaysia Automotive, Robotic and IoT Institute, MARI, and all participants. Selamat datang and welcome to MERT 2022. Alhamdulillah, this year we received about 161 papers and 140 papers were accepted based on its originality and research quality. The accepted papers have been reviewed by local and international experts in order to ensure the papers submitted meet good scientific standards. I believe that this event has successfully created a platform for the scientists, scholars, researchers, engineers, and students to share and present their findings of ongoing or completed original research activities, hence fostering research collaborations between the universities. This event also has encouraged the involvement of young researchers in the scientific fields through oral presentations and publications, offered mentoring to senior researchers, scientists, and fostering the buildings of networks among the participants. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have special talk on tribology, the effect of fracture properties and surface morphology on wear of the LC coatings and severe contact conditions that will be presented by Professor Umehara. And the second talk today will be presented by Mr. Hanin, and the title of the second talk is Vehicle Type Approval VTA Scenario for Global Automotive in Malaysia. I hope that the dedicated participants will gain valuable knowledge and experience from the special talks. This year, MERT 2020 provides a platform for experts in various areas to exchange and generate ideas among participants. We are very glad to bring you the incorporated events to the participants, where a mini symposium on automotive was coordinated this morning. The symposium focused on automotive engineering perspective and its importance elements for mechanical engineers. I really hope that you will have an interesting and memorable experience during the day in this event. And I sincerely hope that presentations from invited speakers and presenters during this conference will come in useful and added value to your current knowledge. I wish you every success with this important conference, and I look forward to learning about the outcome. Before I conclude, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the organizing committee of MERT 2020, Center for Advanced Research on Energy Care, and also our co-organizers, Graduate Schools of Engineering, Nagoya University, Japan, and Chemistry Departments, Universitas Pertamina Indonesia, and also everyone who have worked very hard for the last few months to make this conference possible. To all participants, once again, thank you very much for your time and energy to this conference. I wish all of you the best and a fruitful discussions. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for a good message and motivation. Well, now we are moving on the next session for the invited speaker hosted by the two chairpersons. The first one is Association Professor Senior Dr. Sivakumar Dhammalinga, the chairperson for the first session, and Dr. Amrit Singh Kuman Singh, the chairperson for the second session. Dr. Siva, the floor is yours.
Good day and welcome to the 8th Chemical Engineering Research Day 2022. I'm Siva Kumar and I'll be the chairperson for the first invited speaker who will present online. I'm delighted to introduce Professor Dr. Norishiro Umehara from Nagoya University, Japan. He will be presenting the effect of fracture properties and surface morphology on wear of PLC coating at severe fungal conditions. He is a professor at the Department of Micro Nano Mechanical Science and Engineering, Nagoya University, Japan. Now I would like to hand over to you, Professor Umehara.
So I'm very happy to come and give the presentation. This 8th MERD, so this wonderful conference. But I'm sorry. At first I should come to the Malaysia, but now I'm doing the presentation from the Japan. For this research work, for this keynote, I was considering about what kind of the project is good to show here. But today, this is a mechanical engineering research day. It means maybe I should choose the good research work on the basis of the mechanical engineering knowledge. And also the now automobile, research work was a real industry, will be changed and changed such time. It means I should choose the project related on the automobile. That's why today I would like to explain about the friction and wear, especially for the wear of the DLC coating. In the viewpoint of the fracture properties. I'm Norishiro Umehara. But this research work was mainly done by the one master course student, Mr. Yusei Yamada. And in this research work, we have get a good relationship among the material property. It's mainly fracture property and wear property. And also we have done the good analysis. It means I think this presentation, this research work is very, very proper for this symposium. I'm going to the next slide. Sorry, please wait a little. I'm sharing again. Okay. So this is the background. This research work is for the automobile because if you can see these combustion engine, there are so many friction parts. And of course, we need the low friction, ultra low friction for the such combustion engine. But also, we need the long life of the engine. Why? Because recently, almost the automobile engine, its size is going very, very small and small. So it means contact pressure at all of the sliding parts should be increased and increased. So it means all of the contact at the sliding parts, its sliding condition are changing severe and severe. It means high contact pressure and the high sliding speed, even if under the very, very small area. So it means we need to give new material. It's a DLC coating. In this time, diamond DLC is a kind of the diamond. So DLC coating is showing the very, very high hardness and also the very slippery surface. That is so far. So we expected the benefit of the DLC coating is a low friction. It can give the saving energy, also increase fuel efficiency. And also DLC is quite hard. So it's a high hardness and high wear resistance. It could give the extending parts lifetime. So even if we add the new material as a DLC, we can do the cost saving and also in environmental friendly car, and it can lead to the sustainable development. So this is a diamond-like carbon material that is already used for the piston ring or the piston pin or the such kind of the piston and connecting rod or the something. And but we needed to develop new type of the diamond-like carbon. It's more high hardness, but if we can give a high hardness DLC material, it can be breaking so easily under the low fracture toughness. So it means we should keep the fracture. We should keep the fracture toughness even if we get the high hardness. But so it means in order to develop new type of the DLC, new stage of the DLC, of course we need to some regulation to find the new material. So in this time, in this presentation, I'm introducing about it's one important parameter is a fracture toughness. So of course the coating may be fractured under high pressure or the impact. So I'm sorry, this is Japanese, but this is the coated roller. Some DLC coating was fractured and spoiled. So on the rolling sliding barrel, it can happen. Like that. So we have to avoid such kind of fracture. So in this research work, the relationship between friction and wear property and fracture property. So we should know how to get the fracture value, fracture toughness, on the surface. So one good way was developed, invested by the Professor Nastasi in 2001 by using some indentation method. So in this figure, D is the thickness of the DLC or the such hard coatings, and the substrate is here. If we can get some such a thicker hardness indenter is like that. So radial crack or the median crack could be generated. Its length is 2C is like this. So the length of this median crack it's a perpendicular like this. So this fractured area of this crack is including the film part, DLC coating part, and the substrate part. So consider about the fracture toughness or the stress intensity factors. We are considering in the following way is the crack length is C. If this crack length is expanded up to delta C is like that. This shadows this gray part is a crack propagation area. In order to get a crack propagation, of course, we have a new energy. If this new energy is small, its fracture toughness is quite low. If this new energy for making the new crack surface is high, its fracture toughness is quite large. So if such median half-penny crack is expanded is like that, some part is in the DLC, some part is the substrate. So after that, they can get such kind of equation. D is the thickness of the DLC, and C is the crack length. So G and E G is the work of fracture. E is the Young's modulus. GF is work of fracture of silicon substrate. GF is a work of fracture of the film, it's a DLC coating. GS is a work of fracture of the substrate. Substrate is silicon wire. And elastic modulus and elastic modulus. And C and C0. So C0 is just for the silicon wire, just for the substrate. And C is DLC on substrate. So in this equations, we know EF, ES, and also the GS by the another way. And we can get, and these of course we know. And so it means if we know the C value and the C0 value, so it means C is a crack length, with DLC. C0 is a crack length without the DLC. If we know this equation, so we can get the GF value. GF is a work of fracture of the DLC material. That is our target to get it. So by such kind of the way, so if we can get this equation, so if the 1 over C and this value, if we can get, of course, if 1 over C is increasing, so this value is also increasing. At first, so Dr. Dean, so now he's in Malaysia, so he has got such kind of the experiment. TAC, pillar TAC, mesh TAC. So it means a different structure, so DLC. So he has done. There is a very good relationship, is like that. From the gradient is M value, so we can get this GF. If we know the GF, so we can estimate the fracture toughness of only for the coating. So by using the fracture toughness, by the Dr. Mustafa Muhammad, he was a former PhD student in our laboratories. He got such kind of the good relationship, specific wear rate and the fracture toughness. So specific wear rate is decreasing with the fracture toughness. So it means for the wear of the DLC coating, so it depends on the fracture toughness. So that is the previous research work. But he has just done the TAC, it's a hydrogen-free DLC. But there are so many kinds of the DLC with hydrogenated DLC. That is very, very common. So it means which is expand. So his research work to the more general DLC work. So approach is the quantification of fracture toughness value by indentation method. And the second one, the evaluation of the friction and wear properties by Bourdon disk friction test. Finally, we have analysis. So the objective is to clarify the effect of fracture and roughness on friction property. Why roughness? Roughness can change the surface stress so much. So at first we have done the different 7 DLC for the pin disc friction test. So 7 difference one is not only the hydrogen-free DLC, but also the hydrogenated DLC, and also the drop-free or the anything. So it means we have also changed the surface roughness. So such a different DLC material we have used. So pin disc tester is like this. We have used a base oil, Power 4. It's a synthetic oil. Temperature of the oil is 80 degrees Celsius. Why? It is a common standard temperature for the combustion engine. And the normal load is 1 Newton for the sunshine. And the DLC coated one is here, and against material is SUJ2 wall. And under the boundary lubrication condition. This results of the specific wear rate. So specific wear rate are all of the various DLC material, completely different. In this case, HAS shows minimum specific wear rate. It's a non-hydrogen-free DLC, very hard material. HA, HAC, HAN, also the hydrogen-free one, shows large specific wear rate. And the hydrogenated ACH shows lower wear, wear is like that. So it means hydrogen-free and hydrogen-free and hydrogenated. So even for the DLC material, all of the wear rate are quite wide under the wide range. If we are controlled, understand by the hardness. So normally in the field of the tribology, where it's proportional to the one by hardness is like this. It means that if the it means the volume. But from this result, you can see specific wear rate cannot be well organized, well understood by the 1/8 is so well. So it means we need to give other parameters. Maybe other parameters govern wear of the DLC under severe sliding. So we have measured fracture toughness by using this Dr. Nastash way from this equation. Finally, we can get the fracture toughness of this one. HAS shows the minimum wear. That can show the maximum fracture toughness. Oh, that is so nice. And hydrogen-free DLC. Under such case, I think fracture toughness is quite large. And hydrogenated one is slightly small. But if we can get the effect of if we are rearranged, between the specific wear rate and the fracture toughness, we can have two tendencies. One tendency is wear rate decreased with increasing of K1C, this tendency. And the other one is the wear rate is independent of K1C and quite small for the specific wear rate. Still there are two tendencies. We have to get the total concept to control the wear of the DLC. How much of these tendencies? We have done the surface observation with the SEA. Where star of this tendency case is micro cracks in micrometer scale were generated, and rough after story, and the rough surface could be generated. In this tendency, and also in the second tendency is this one, no micro cracks in this one, and also smooth surface. So that's why we are relatively small. So it means there are two tendencies, so which could show the two surface, so morphology, so after prediction test. So finally, so in order to get the good parameter, so we propose the K by K1C, it's a new parameter. So if K is not more than K1C, fracture would not be happen. Of course, that is quite common in the field of the mechanical engineering, the fracture mechanics. Maybe all of the students in the mechanical engineering were right. So we have already gotten a K1C. So it's my next target is how to estimate the K value, stress intensity factor K value. Stress intensity factor K can be described like that. Sigma max is a tensile stress in the cracks here, tensile stress. And the D is initial crack length. So pre-crack length is here. So it means if we can estimate sigma max and the D value, we can estimate the stress intensity factor K on the surface. So such way has already developed by the one Korean good professor, Professor Kim Sokson. So he has already published to get K value, so fracture stress intensity factor on the surface. So if we can use K by K1C, finally we can get only one line, one tendency is like this. So K by K1C and specific wear rate have a strong correlation is like that. So it's not only the K1C. K1C is a material property. K value is coming from the friction property, like friction coefficient or the something. So it means if we can use the material property of DLC and friction property of the K, and K also increasing the surface roughness. If the roughness is large, K value is also large. So it's a small K by K1C suggests high wear resistance. So this is summarizing. Also, K by K1C is larger. Microflap was generated here. But if the K by K1C is small, no microflap. So that's why we could get a very small specific wear rate. So these are the conclusions. So first one is a good observation. Good observation could show the two tendencies. So it depends on the fracture toughness of DLC, or not. If we can aid the friction property, friction property can give the change of the sigma max. And also D is the initial crack length. D is coming from the surface roughness. Sigma max is coming from the friction coefficient. If we can aid the stress intensity factor from the friction property, so we can get very good result like that. And here my talk is like that. Thank you very much for your attention.
Professor Lumehra, on behalf of everyone here, I would like to thank you for the interesting presentation. Now we move to the question and answer session. We can take questions from the participants. So you can just come to the middle and ask a question. Please state your name and institution.
Hello and good afternoon, Prof. Mera. I am Nur Alima from NJITTM. So I have one question. First of all, nice sharing on the DLC, based on the fracture. But my question is, what is your opinion on the future for DLC? Since our view nowadays is linked to the EV, electric vehicles. So what is your opinion on what is the future for DLC towards the EV. Thank you.
You say again in the last part, so.
The future of PLC. The future of PLC in EV vehicles.
Okay. I think so. If they, so I'm not sure. So it's a good for the EV vehicle, but I think now in the case of Japan, so car sharing is increasing so much. So it means previously, so life of the car is not so long, just so 100,000 kilometers or something. But if we can do the car sharing or something, maybe the car life of the car should be more and longer and longer. So that need, maybe in the future, so we need such a so longer life car is also important. And also in the so EV car. So, but of course, if the EV car, there is no combustion engine. Of course, still there is a combustion engine. If there is a combustion engine, so still we need the low friction and wear so or parts. And also, anyway, all of the automobile, so including some helicopter or something, maybe all of the also machine, so should be integrated so much. So it means bearing, so could be more so smaller and smaller. So it means so we need to develop the new such machine element, new bearing, so under supported very, very severe condition at the high contact pressure or something. That's why maybe we need to so invent it, so more so up, so DLC.
Okay, thank you, and thank you for the question. Can we take another question from the participants? So if there's no more questions, we will move to the next session. Thank you very much, Professor Umihara. I'd like to invite Dr. Amrit Singh to share the second invited speaker session. Thank you.
Thank you, Associate Professor Dr. Sivakumar. Our next invited speaker is Mr. Naim Husni bin Latif from Malaysia Automotive, Robotics and IoT Institute. So today he will be delivering a talk with the title Vehicle Type Approval, Scenario for Global Automotive and Malaysia. Now I'd like to call upon Mr. Naim to deliver his talk.
Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon. Thank you very much, Dr. Amrit. Let me get the slide first. All right. First of all, thank you very much towards the UTEM for inviting me, and a special thanks to the advisor, the dean, to doctors and professors from the floors, and also the invited speakers, and to all members of the floor, and also on the online session. So today I would like to talk about what is the automotive regulations or the vehicle type approval. So before I start my presentation, I just would like to give in terms of introduction. As you can see in this video, this is actually what I would like to ask. There's a second video. So have anyone heard of ASEAN NCAP? I believe that one of the information I received, the MERT 2020, you invited a person from IROS. So this lab is actually in Malacca, and I believe that most of you know this particular lab. So this is the best-selling vehicles on the market in Malaysia, Produa Myri. Alright, so in terms of the presentation that I'm going to deliver, it is about testing of vehicles, or we call it automotive. So these are the things in what that we do in terms of getting the vehicles to be sold on market. For this one is NCAP. What is automotive testing? So automotive testing is actually very wide. One, you have legal or type approval, which is on the left side. It is actually, we call it as type approval, which is I'm going to tell and more get into details of this one. Which is if a vehicle manufacturer, for example, Proton, Produa, Honda, all those original equipment manufacturers, if they do not have testing and they do not have this test report, they could not sell the vehicle on the market. For example, if Produa is making a new Myri in 2025, so they would do testing and they would get a test report in order for them to submit to JPJ, so that they can sell on Malaysia. So that one is on the left side. On the right side is the one that you see videos just now. It is more to testing on commercial research or incentive. So after approval of the vehicle, for example, if Honda or we can see a vehicle manufactured from China, they would like to bring in vehicle to Malaysia. So they need to get approval first from our authority, which is JPJ in Malaysia, on the left side. On the right side is more to commercial-wise. They do crash tests, they do in terms of fuel consumption, better fuel consumption. So there are two different things. So there are many testing in the world, and this is more to electromagnetic, the environment, there are safety, mechanical, emission. And now let's go towards general. As I said, before a vehicle can be sold on market, regardless of Malaysia or Philippines or Europe or China, Japan, they need to get tested before they can sell the vehicle. In order to state that the vehicle is safe or environment friendly or actually very good to be sold on the market. So testing is needed before the vehicle can be sold to any other market. It's all over the world. It's just not that, okay, we accept this vehicle to be sold on Malaysian market, we can just sell it. No. Even Malaysia has very strict general requirement. So we call it vehicle type approval. So VTA is actually the vehicle type approval. Before you can sell your vehicles in the market, you need to do testing. And testing we call it legal requirement. And in the world, we have European Union and also United Nations. And under European Union, it is mostly used by countries under European Union. And for United Nations, is under, there are a lot of countries which is contracting party, meaning that the countries signed with United Nations, we agree to accept these standards to incorporate it in our country. So under European Union, on the right side, we call it European Union Directive, or we call it, in Malaysia we call it Act, ACTA. In United Nations, they call it United Nations Regulations, which is also ACTA. So this is under European Union, mostly Europe countries. They are the contracting party of European Union. And for United Nations, it is including Europe and also countries that is signed the agreement, including Malaysia. As you can see, number 4 from top on the left side. Okay. So under United Nations, now Malaysia is a contracting party of United Nations regulation, meaning that Jabatan Pengangkutan Jalan or Road Transport Department is actually accepting cars that is tested according to standards of United Nations regulations. So in United Nations regulation, their headquarters in Geneva, Switzerland. They have a few groups under the World Forum Harmonization, WP29. So WP29 is specifically for automotive. And there are a group of noise, lighting, pollution, energy, brakes and running gears, general safety and passive safety. Now there are one more additional group, which is transportation system, which is more to autonomous vehicle. So, what kind of testing that you need to do before you can sell your vehicle? Say, for example, that you are actually one company here. UTEM would like to develop a vehicle and would like to export the vehicle to China, for example. So how can you do this? UTEM is actually the manufacturer. Technical service is like Siri, meaning that as UTEM, you cannot do testing on your own. You give to China authority, JPJ China. We have tested, so this is okay. Cannot. You have to give to Siri China in order for them to do testing, provide the test report, then the JPJ of China will actually accept your product to be sold on China market. So that is actually technical service, just like Siri here in Malaysia. So manufacturer is the one that is producing vehicles. They need to give to technical service in order for them to do the testing of the vehicle, provide a test report to authority, which is JPJ. So as you can see on the right side at the bottom, there's a number E1. E1 is actually the number of authority, meaning that the one is E-mark. E1 is actually from Germany. The name of JPJ of Germany, KBA. So for Malaysia is actually signed under United Nations, and Malaysia got E52. So meaning that if Malaysia would like to export the vehicles, they need to have certain standards. They can export the vehicles to countries that already signed for United Nations. So that one is a global. Now we go to Malaysia. So under Malaysia, if you want to sell your vehicles to Malaysia, JPJ, Jabatan Pengangkutan Jalan, is the lead agency for the vehicle type approval. Meaning that all safety regulations, all environment regulations, all testing needed to be submitted to JPJ, and also for Department of Environment for environment test-related testing. And VTA, we call it vehicle type approval, is to confirm that every single testing is compliant, then you can sell your vehicle in Malaysia. The reason why we have this is, one is to increase the vehicle safety in terms of braking, crashworthiness, lighting that is very good condition, and also to reduce pollution. So in terms of the safety-wise, it's under Jabatan Pengangkutan Jalan, and the Department of Environment is under the jurisdiction of pollution. Pollution included in terms of noise as well. So why do I see vehicle type approval? So, for example, I'm not sure whether you have heard of like Proton and Pro2, they have the commercial name. For example, before we have Proton Saga, but they call it a number, for example, X70 or X50. So that one we call it as type, meaning that the type is used for all other countries. So if you would like to have a standard and testing, that is the type that you use to export, not the commercial names. So maybe one company would have a different commercial names in each of the countries. So these are the type, meaning that L for motorcycle, M is for passenger vehicles, and N is for commercial vehicles, O is for trailers, TRS is for agriculture vehicles, and also machinery. So this is more to the information related to motorcycle, what kind of testing is needed in Malaysia. That's why this is actually gained from Jabatan Pengangkutan Jalan guideline, meaning that these are the testing required by JPJ before you can sell your motorcycle in Malaysia. So this is for Malaysia, for the passenger vehicles. If you would like to sell your vehicle in Malaysia, these are the requirements that you need to submit to JPJ. Actually, it is a lot. And most of Malaysians, they think that Malaysian requirements is very less. Actually, no. One of the information that I can tell you, Malaysia is actually having the most strict standards and regulation for automotive in ASEAN. And up until now, we have more than 124 required by JPJ in order for you to sell vehicles in Malaysia. Not even Singapore, not even Thailand. So next is actually more onto the bus. This is also for passengers more than 8 persons. And this is for pickup truck N1 category. And this is for the heavy vehicles for carriage of goods. So these are the requirements that is needed by the authority, which is JPJ, before you can bring in your vehicles. Alright, so how do JPJ check on the actual testing and test report? So we have this National Committee for Type Approval and Homologation. And before they give the approval to vehicle manufacturers, they have a meeting with themselves, meaning that the National Committee consists of all of these departments: Puspakom, SIRIM, Royal Custom, Police, DOE, even MARI as well. So they will discuss whether this particular vehicles is approved or not to be sold in Malaysia. So now it's more about MARI. I just would like to explain this, where do I come from, and just would like to get back to this. Meaning that I would have this particular information because of my experiences with, previously I worked with manufacturing on the right side. I worked with Produa. Of course, the job scope is to get that particular vehicle to be sold in global market. And I need to do the testing in order to make sure that the vehicle can penetrate UK market, Malaysia market, and other markets. And then I shifted to technical services, which is I do the testing for Produa in order to give them the test report for them to submit to authority. So now I'm in MARI, it's more on the policy making, to know that we do study research. This is the policy that we need to do before the vehicles can enter Malaysia. So what MARI is doing is actually more to policy, giving incentive to vehicle manufacturers and also research. So we have a headquarters in Cyberjaya, and this is more of the open offices we have. And we have also MARI Academic Technology in Bukit Beruntung. This is more to developing human capitals and more on related to dojo, industry forward, and lean production system. So these are the things that we are acquiring with our partners, which is Proton and Produa. Mostly they put the trainers there in order for them to train people, especially to give to the vehicle manufacturers. So there are a lot of information, there are a lot of equipments and machines. And we have also MARI Design Center in Rawang, which is now rented by Produa. And they do the biggest scales of vehicle design in that particular building. So we have quite a few equipment. And also my last presentation would be the National Emission Test Center, which is actually I'm managing this particular center. And sorry that might be this is more promotion, but actually this is kind of like testing exhaust emission. As I said, before you do the selling vehicles in Malaysia or in other countries, you need to have testing related to exhaust emission as well. So National Emission Test Center is actually in Rawang, Bukit Beruntung, and we can do testing up to Euro 6B, which is very, very updated, most exhaust emission testing in the world. And it's actually a public lab. Everyone can get in that lab and to do testing. So we do measure on vehicles emission pollutant. We check on fuel consumption or any other research. And we are the most advanced emission testing lab in ASEAN. And with a 50 million worth of development, this particular lab is actually fully utilized up until the end of this year. But it's still open to public and also governments or car manufacturers. So these are the kind of testing that we do in this particular lab. We have customers, so far mostly is from Malaysian, but we have also coming from Singapore as well. So these are the particular lab information, and we actually accredited by ISO 17025. The drivers is actually very trained and recognized as a certified driver, because if you wanted to do testing and to be accepted by authority, you need to have a certified driver. So the testing that is done is actually UN is what I explained, the United Nations regulation accepted by the United Nations contracting parties. We can do testing for conformity of production and also R&D testing. So this is the latest testing technologies that we acquired. If you can remember, in last few years, there is actually an issue of Volkswagen exhaust emission, meaning that they have issues with the authority of Europe, whereby the emission results is actually not the correct one. That is actually why we have this equipment, because they have started this requirement in Europe, meaning that you have to do testing in the lab, and then you need to do testing outside, and you need to compare to each other. So when the testing results is actually similar or less than the lab results, meaning that the results is okay. Volkswagen, they did something to the vehicle. They altered the ECU system in order to know, because the lab, most of the manufacturers, they know what the cycle is, so they can tune the vehicles. So once the university has started to give the information of Volkswagen, data is not correct. So the European authorities issue out a new regulation, which is this one. So Mali acquired this particular product in order to do research, in order to do testing according to this particular European standards. So this is actually the video that that we are doing the testing on the road. Because the testing is meaning that you need to test on rural areas with a low speed. You need to do testing at city area with a lower speed, and also at highway with higher speed. So all of the exhaust emission gases that will be up from the exhaust will actually be collected in the particular equipment. So as you can see, we travel to Rawang, we travel to KL, even in the city center, because the data is actually collected, and in order to state that the vehicles is actually okay within the lab test results. So this is actually the testing that we do according to European standards. And I might say this, actually Malaysia is actually having quite a good testing facilities in, because we are actually at a par with European standards. So far, I think that would be my presentation. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Nine. Now we'll proceed with a question and answer session. So if you have questions, you can use the microphone in the middle. Please mention your name and institution. Meanwhile, waiting for the others to ask, maybe I can ask a quick question to Mr. Nangir. So I believe that in the near future, we are expecting autonomous vehicles on Malaysian roads. Yeah. So are there any regulations related to autonomous vehicles in Malaysia?
Right, thank you, Dr. Amrik. Yes, even in Malaysia, we have particular, because Malaysia is a contracting party of United Nations. So under United Nations, there are a few regulations updated for lane keeping system, the autonomous driving system. So in terms of Malaysia, we are also going forward towards it. And there are two informations that I would like to give. One is, since we are a contracting party of United Nations, we most probably will take all of the regulations and be our national standards as well. That one is the first one. Second, even now, Mari is actually engaging with industries and also our joint ventures companies in order to do one vehicle testing area for autonomous in Cyberjaya. So by 2025 until 2027, we will have one facility for autonomous vehicle in Cyberjaya. We have acquired the land and it will be starting to develop within the fourth quarter of this year up until 2025. So the standards that we are going to use is according to international standards, and that is one of the reasons why we need to have this particular facility. So yes, we are looking forward to autonomous and that will be my reply.
Assalamualaikum. Yes, Mr. Naik. I have a question.
Maybe can you introduce your name and
Okay. My name is Muhammad Azman Abdullah. I'm from Faculty of Mechanical Engineering. I'm a lecturer actually. Okay. My question is, how is it different between the Mari testing facilities with the Myros testing facilities? Because we saw that you have quite similar equipment for the crash test. Thank you very much.
Okay, good question. Actually, we and Myros is not competing to each other, and our facilities is actually complementing to each other. Mali do not have any crash tests, and Mali is only having, up until now, exhaust emission test laboratory in Bukit Buntung. So with Myros and Mali is actually an agency, which is Myros is more on safety related. Mali now have facility for exhaust emission, which is environment related. So we are both agency and not the legal entity like JPJ. JPJ, if you do not have the standards acquired by manufacturer, you cannot sell a vehicle. But for Mali and Myros, if you do the testing and you cannot comply with the requirements that Myros and Mali is giving, you can still sell your vehicles because Myros is giving star rating. So meaning that Honda is selling the vehicles, they got 3-star or 4-star, but they can still sell the vehicles. For Mali, you can send, we have Malaysian standards for energy efficient vehicles. We put a maximum level of fuel consumption. So if the vehicle comply to that particular limit, because Mali is agency and MITI, so MITI will give incentive to that Proton or Produa, meaning that Mali and Myros is actually helping up vehicle manufacturers to be better, not just only selling. We give incentive, we give a better, safer vehicles. So that is why this agency is here in Malaysia. We help manufacturers to be more sustainable, to be more environmental friendly, to be more safe, and to export the vehicle. For JPJ, it's only if you do not have this particular requirement, you cannot sell in Malaysia. So that is a difference between Mali, Myros, and JPJ. Yeah. I think that will be.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Naim, for answering the questions. Now I'll pass the floor to our host, Ms. Hamid, for the next session.
Thank you very much to our invited speakers, Mr. Naim, and thank you to Dr. Amrik. We have learned so much today about the science and engineering technology, about tribology, and of course, automotive today. Ladies and gentlemen, we couldn't have done this seminar successfully without our participants, our invited speakers who spared their time attending to this seminar today. With that, I would like to invite Dr. Shafizal bin Mar, the chairman of MERC 2022, and Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Fazli bin Abdullah, the Dean of SKM UTAM, are on the stage to present the Certificate of Appreciation and a special bucket of local food from Malacca. We are now invite Associate Professor IR Dr. Muhammad Azmizam bin Rusli, the Deputy Chairman of MERC 2022, on behalf of Professor Umihara from Nagoya University, Japan. Please. Thank you very much, Deputy Chairman. Now, may I invite Mr. Naim Husni bin Latif from Malaysia Automotive Robotics and IoT Institute, Mari. Thank you very much, Mr. Naim. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and the Dean. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now approaching the final station for this program. Before I say goodbye, just a quick reminder to all of you. Kindly be informed that there will be a poster visit by the invited special guests that will start at 2:50 p.m. today. Please be ready with your poster on side. Attention please to all of you. I believe that all of you are very hungry now, right? Before we go to the cafe for the lunch, kindly remain on your seat for the photo session, right? See you later. Thank you all so much. And Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye for now. Thank you.